What do you do when you have something that you know you cannot forget? I like to set an alarm on my phone or my calendar on my email to send me an email. I know I've seen Shawnna write on her hand what it is, and right? Or she'll go to the calendar in the computer room and write on the calendar the date, or she'll put a sticky note on the refrigerator with a magnet or something with a doctor's appointment on it to remind us.
Yeah, hi, I'm Shawnna. This is Pete. And we're Golly Q Family Discipleship. We are both ordained ministers with the Church of God, and we are inviting you into our home to come and study the Bible with us. We believe that studying and reading the Word of God daily is an essential part of coming closer to Jesus Christ and discipling, being one of His disciples. So today we are starting on the book of Hebrews chapter 2. I'm going to read verse 1 and then we'll get started with the discussion. We must pay the most careful attention, therefore, to what we have heard so that we do not drift away.
Okay, so the author of Hebrews here is already starting to reiterate to the readers of Hebrews, hey, look, you have to pay close attention to what you've been taught about Jesus Christ. You cannot drift away. So here we are. This is written probably end of like the 90s into the second century of the world, and you think about what's going on here is people's already starting to fade away, to go away from the faith. They're being deceived. They're being misled. They're being misdirected. And the author is giving this warning, hey, pay close attention to the gospel that you know, so that you're not disturbed or set astray by false teachings.
You know, you have to consider that the printing press had not been invented yet, that everything that they were able to read was written by hand. Most of the time, the gospel, the stories, the history of the Jewish culture, the things that had happened, it was passed down from generation to generation. And it was, God instructed them in the Old Testament to make sure that they shared that with their children. Because why? Because they needed to be able to stay in the faith and be reminded of God and what God had done for them in the past.
Actually, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 through 9 is what the Jewish people would call the Shema. Mm-hmm. And it was this thing talking about how God was the most important thing. And then it went into like this list of how they should disciple their family. And it said things like, you know, you should teach your children the Word of God. You should talk about the Word of God in your home, right? It says you should talk about the Word of God when you're traveling. It says that you should talk about the Word of God when you get ready to go to bed. You should talk about the Word of God when you get ready to get up. You should write it upon your doorpost and upon your gates of your home. So you see the theme here, right? There was this constant reiterating in the minds of the Jewish people, this is the Word of God. This is what needs to be my focus. This is where I need to be. And the Hebrew author is here telling us the same thing as Christians. We cannot let it slip away. Every day we encourage you to edify yourself by reading the Word of God. We don't do that because we just say, oh, it's what we believe you need to do. We do it because we know it will strengthen you. We know you need it. We know you need that food for your soul, and we know that that will build your faith, and we know that it will keep you from being misled or led astray by someone in this world.
That's right. You know, we take a lot of time and effort in memorizing different things in our lives through all of our time in grade school. They always made us remember like the preamble, right? They would make us remember Bill of Rights. They would make us remember things that were important that helped us to hold on to our freedom. And if we would remember things like that, if we would take the effort to remember things like that, then surely we should take the effort to remember who God is and what He's done for us.
Right, so the words of God are so important to us that we should never want them to fade away. We should never want them to slip. We should never want them to be manipulated, and we should want them to be a daily part of our life.
Right, because the truth that is the Word of God is going to always stand. It will always bring freedom. It will always bring peace, and it will always bring salvation.
It'll always be a light into your path, right?
That's right.
So going forward, remember, we're on Hebrews chapter 2. Read it every day this week. Discuss it as a family. Discuss it at work. In conversation, bring up what you've learned. Let other people know what the Word of God says.
That's right. Until next time, we want to remind you to live intentionally for Christ, exalting God, encountering God, edifying yourself by reading the Word of God, and engaging this world for Jesus Christ. God bless.